You also talk about that you started at Safe House as a entry level
Yeah.
residential advocate, if I'm correct. How was your journey from the entry level role to becoming CEO now?
Yeah, so I came in, as I said earlier, I really wanted to work in this field, and even though I had been in management before at old jobs, I was willing to take that entry level position because I had the opportunity to do it, and I really wanted to experience, this type of agency in direct services. So really working one-on-one with clients and working directly with clients so that I could truly understand uh, what individuals go through. And so I started working in the shelter. Sometimes it was on midnight shifts, sometimes it was in the evening. It is a 24-hour facility. So, doing that as well as answering that crisis hotline. I had answered a suicide hotline before when I was in college. It was actually part of my degree to volunteer for a suicide hotline. So adjusting to the job was easy for me. I was like in there and I was doing it. And, it really gave me that perspective. Working on a midnight shift, you have people experiencing nightmares from their abuse. They'd get up in the middle of the night. And so, I would sit and chat with them, in at 2 a.m. to help them, just cope with waking up and then they calm down and go back to bed. And so it gave me a really unique perspective of that close up one-on-one with clients because this is their home, this is where they're staying when they're in the shelter, like that's where they live, and so you're almost like a guest in their house. Now it's a much more chaotic house because there's a lot of people in there, but giving that experience. And so then because I also had experience working with children, that's when they my coworkers were like, you should apply for the children's advocate position, which was in the shelter working with the kids because the person who was in the job wanted to go get her master's degree in another state. So I ended up working with those kids. I think it was almost about 5 years working one on one with the children. And I got to do activities with kids and play with kids and then also help the moms. Here you are, a new single parent, and the abuser sometimes wouldn't even let the victim discipline the kid. So a lot of times the child would come very unruly. So it was also supporting the parent in how to properly discipline their kids and give them new tools and give them support and encouragement and help them through difficulties with school and homework and all that to make that a little bit easier in their lives. So that was a pretty cool experience. But then the founder of Safe House and former executive director Julie Proctor started to figure out that I had some skills that were not being utilized. This is what happens when you volunteer for things. Because I'm the type, when I'm in a job, I'm gonna volunteer to do stuff. Like, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I can help you with that." Well, then she's like, I will quote, "Beth, I think you have some skills that we are not utilizing." And I was like, You are correct in that assumption." And I had got back and got my master's in human resources, which is like an MBA basically. And she was like, "I would like you to come work at the office." And that was also coupled with me saying, "You've been doing all these jobs by yourself for too long in this company and you need help." And she was getting near retirement age. It's like, you need help. And so she was able at that point to bring me over to help her with, all the human resources related stuff, operations related stuff. And of course, as I volunteer to do jobs, I ended up like managing the volunteers, doing all the bookkeeping on top of, the human resources related stuff. COVID came and I was the one writing all the protocols for the staff so that, we wouldn't close because our services still need to happen despite a pandemic. People still need a place to go and to live. So, I helped with that. And so that's where this whole director of operations title came about. And that's when she was like, I'm nearing retirement and she succession planned me. And so that's how now I'm in charge. That's how I'm now the CEO. And I attribute it to volunteering too often for jobs.